Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Asad Yaqub and I am from Lahore, Pakistan. I teach Ielts here in Lahore. I welcome you once again to my Ielts essay writing video, and this video is for those who are looking for 7, 8 or 9 bands, and I'm giving you some tips. What does it take to get a higher bands in Ielts writing? Because many students are complaining that they are not giving more than 6 or 6.5 bands in writing. So I have figured out few points. If you're going to act upon these things, definitely you can improve your band score. If you have not seen the previous videos of this series, please go to the playlist and there you can watch all the videos, because these videos are in a series of videos. Now, I'm going to tell you how to generate ideas for essays. Idea generation, basically how you're going to generate ideas, because sometimes some students, some IELTS candidates, they complain it's very difficult to generate ideas. We don't know how to generate the ideas. So there are some tips which I'm going to give you. Let me tell you, in order to generate ideas, you should have knowledge. Without knowledge, you cannot generate the ideas. But anyways, I'm going to give you some tips, and these tips can help you generate the ideas. These tips can tell you in which direction you have to think for your essay brainstorming. For any essay to be regarded as high quality, it must not only be well structured. Well structured means language. It must have high quality ideas as well. Sharing ideas is a key reason for communicating. I mean, you are communicating through your essay and you are sharing your ideas. Generating ideas and writing a simple plan is essential for developing a clear and cohesive structure. Anyways, the first thing is you guys need to identify the topic. I mean, read the topic at least 2-3 times. The first thing is you need to identify the type of essay, whether it is problem solution, advantages, disadvantages, opinion essay or discussion essay. So you need to identify that very thing so that you can come up with ideas. If it is advantages, disadvantages, then you need 2 advantages, 2 disadvantages. If it is problem and solution essay, then you need to come up with causes and solutions. So if you understand, if you identify the topic, if you identify the type of essay, then it's going to be easier for you to think in the right direction. And if after identifying the topic, you know what type of essay that one is. I mean, for example, you read the topic and you realized it's a discussion essay. So in discussion essay, you got to discuss both sides and 4 paragraphs you got to write. If it's an opinion essay, you got to think, okay, I need to make my opinion, and behind that there should be some solid arguments to support my opinion. If it is problem solution, I need to think about the causes of the problem and then the solution to those causes. This is how, when you are clear about the topic, you can always generate ideas. Anyways, identifying the topic and writing it down is a useful method of avoiding being distracted. It's a very common problem. Students are distracted. They go here and there. They don't write according to the topic. At times even they don't understand what type of essay that one is. By the complex wording of some questions. In some questions, the wording is complex and students fail to understand that. Writing down the topic is designed to keep students on track and to ensure that they address the key point of the question. So maybe it's a good idea you can write down the topic on the question paper, right? Or you can rewrite the topic on the question paper just to see what the topic is. For example, education, the topics can be like education, working from home, arts, funding, etc. So you can just see what is the main topic and what is the issue in the topic on which you have to write. The first thing is main topic. After main topic, you need to see what is the issue presented in that topic, and you got to write on that very issue. Now, for example, there is a topic, young generation is behind the latest technological developments. Young generation is behind the latest technological developments. How far do you agree or disagree with this statement? Now, the topic is not young generation. The topic is not technology, right? The topic is actually changing technology and young generation behind that. So this is how you need to understand. Sometimes some students, they pick up one word from the topic. They say, okay, the essay is about technology. they ignored the whole topic that young generation is behind the latest technological developments. Now the topic is actually changing technology, number one main topic, changing technology, and young generation behind that. So this is what you need to write about. If you only write about young generation, you will not get any good bands about that essay or of that essay. If you write only about changing technology, again you will not get good band scores. So you got to be very, very careful. Next, you need to define the topic. Sometimes terms used for a topic have a single generally accepted meaning that most people will have the same definition for. However, in a small number of cases, people will have different definitions for what a particular word means. Clarifying the topic will allow clear distinctions to be made. Mostly, it is not necessary to define the topic because the intended meaning is usually self-evident. The meaning of the essay is self-evident. For example, most readers will understand what working from home means. Now, readers will understand, so you don't need to define that very thing. Basically, sometimes what happens when we write essays for our examination system, like for our local universities and colleges and all that, there we define the topic. Now, for instance, if the topic is about democracy, or if we are given essay to write on democracy, first of all, we define democracy. What is democracy? If the topic is about corruption, in most of the cases, students, they tend to define what is corruption, right? So in IELTS, you do not need to define the topic. Topic is self-evident. The reader can understand what the topic is. So you do not need to define what changing technology is, or what is technology, or what is smoking, or anything like that. Okay. Well, for example, now most readers will understand that working from home, they understand that, and however, with the questions such as should libraries lend video games, movies and music, a definition of a library is very useful. Why? Because they are asking you a question, should libraries lend video games? Now see, library and video game does not have any direct connection. So here you need to describe the word library. What is library? Then they say movies and music, right? So when we talk about libraries and we are linking that with video games, movie and music, here you need to describe the word library. Okay, so there are three key points that should be considered with definitions. I mean, when you are going to describe the topic or you're going to give the definition of the topic, there are three things you need to consider. The first one is often definitions are not required. Let me tell you, in IELTS essays, definitions are not required. So you don't need to write the definition of the word. A definition in an essay prevents a misunderstanding of what the author means when they use a word. Like sometimes people have different definitions of the same word. So in that case, probably it is something you need to write. A definition allows the writer to have a reference and clear logic. So it is possible to argue whether an object satisfies the definition provided and therefore give a clear reason for its inclusion or exclusion. Now, for example, if there is the essay about obesity, so maybe in a sentence you can describe obesity, otherwise it's understood that readers, they know what obesity is. Okay, now there is another thing you need to understand, whether the topic is binary or graded. Let me tell you, IELTS essays are of two types. One is binary and one is graded. These are the new terminologies. Maybe they are new terminologies for you, but I'm going to explain them. What is binary topic and what is a graded topic? Many IELTS questions are presented to the readers as an either or. Either this thing or that thing, implying that the student must choose one choice over the other. So you got to choose one thing over the other, especially when you're writing the essay agreement, disagreement. That's what we call opinion essay. So you got to choose one thing from two. If there are only two choices, then the question is a binary topic. So if they give you two choices, whether you agree with this or you disagree with this, or in a discussion essay, there are two sides of the opinion, then they say discuss both views and give your opinion. That means the topic is binary. Is that clear? I repeat again, if there are only two choices, then the question is a binary topic, okay, in the essay. I give you an example of binary topic. For example, buying a house. Now, buying a house, having children, there are only two options, whether to buy a house or not to buy a house, okay. Having children, there are only two options. This is also a binary topic. Why? What are the two options? Whether to have children or not to have children. Going to university, again it's a binary topic, whether you go to university or go and find a job. Having a space program. Now, having a space program, not having a space program. So all these type of topics are called binary topics. In all these cases, there are only two choices, because the person cannot half buy a house or half have children, okay. So either yes or no. Therefore, these topics are all binary. If there is a range of different possible outcomes, then the topic is graded. Now, the second type is graded. If there is a range of different possible outcomes, binary means there are only two possible outcomes, then the topic is binary. And if there is a range of different possible outcomes, then the topic is graded. Now, I give you examples of graded topics include arts funding. There are many ways arts can be funded. Understand? So this is a graded topic. You need to understand the difference between binary topic and graded topic. Talent. There are different ways of talent, or there are many ways of expressing talent. Again, this is a graded topic. Female delinquency. Now, female delinquency is also, there are various ways of doing this. So that's why this is also a graded topic. Becoming a good member of society, there are various ways of becoming a good member of society. So that's why this is a graded topic. So in all of these cases, there are degrees, right? Certain degrees. Governments can spend different amounts of money on the arts. The first thing. So this is graded. People do not fit neatly into two groups, talented and non-talented. There are other groups also. So therefore, this topic is also graded. The challenge in Ielts question is that many questions are presented as binary when they are really graded, and this causes students to use incorrect language. Now let's see. A typical question like this might be, some people believe that educated people will always earn much more money than non-educated people. Discuss. Okay, now when you look at this topic, that all right, some people believe that educated people will always earn much more money than non-educated people. Discuss. Now this question implies that people are either educated or non-educated. That is a binary topic. Either educated or non-educated, rather than a graded topic. This can cause students to use inappropriate grammatical structure in essays. Consider the following two sentences. If the writer considers the topic binary, they might write the following sentences. How? Educated people will be able to convince employers that they have many skills, while non-educated people have trouble showing that they are skilled. So non-educated people will have trouble showing that they are skilled. So if the writer considers the topic to be graded, the writer would probably express this differently if the topic is graded, but that is actually binary. Now what is that? The more educated a person is, the more likely they will be able to convince employers that they have many skills. So this is a graded topic. A further consideration is that a student who does think about whether a topic is binary or not might ask deeper questions about the nature of the topic. For example, in this case, a student might begin to ask, if education is graded and has fine distinctions, how do we measure what education really is? Is it a piece of paper showing formal achievements, or is it learning obtained over time? So this is how it can be confusing. But anyways, you need to identify whether the topic is binary topic or it is a graded topic. Now next we've got pros and cons. Building a list of pros and cons is a standard method of generating new ideas. If you want to generate new ideas for essay writing, you can make a list of positives and negatives, right? You can make a list of, this is all what you guys need to do in the brainstorming. of your essay, you will have around 5 minutes for brainstorming. So there you can make a list of pros and cons. But well, you can make a list of pros and cons, but it's not the only method, because students usually draw on personal experience and fail to consider the experiences of other people. You need to consider the experiences of other people as well. Do not write your personal experience, so many personal experience in one essay that it becomes a personalized story and informal piece of writing. When building a list of key ideas, students will usually ask the basic question. Now, what are the positives and negative arguments? That's what we got to see. What is a positive argument? What is a negative argument? Simply listing pros and cons provides a simple plan that is suitable for many of the more simple questions, but in difficult questions, students often fail to generate enough ideas. The reason for this is students usually only consider their own personal experience and do not realize that they can extend their ideas by thinking about experiences far beyond their own. So think about other people's experience, and this is how you can generate more ideas. Another way of generating ideas in IELTS essay writing is you can consider stakeholders. For example, have stakeholders been considered? Now when you read the topic, you got to see who are the stakeholders. Sometimes the stakeholders can be parents, governments and teachers, right? The people who are involved in. So students may be unfamiliar with the term stakeholder. Stakeholder are the people who are involved in that thing. A stakeholder is a person who has an interest in an object or an outcome. A person who's got an interest in an object or the outcome, we call him stakeholder. If it is about business, business community, customers, right, they are the stakeholder. Even suppliers are the stakeholder. Government gets the taxes, government is the stakeholder, like that. Now I give you an example. Stakeholders in a business might be business owners, number 1, customers, number 2, number 3, employees, number 4, suppliers, number 5, governments and neighbors. So these are the people who are stakeholders, and as I told you that a stakeholder is a person who has an interest in an object or an outcome. So if you consider the stakeholder of that very statement, of that very thing on which you're going to write essay, you can come up with new ideas as well. Now for example, each of these group of people is likely to have different perspectives, and thinking from their perspective may lead to new ideas. Consider the question whether businesses should open late at night. Now the question is, businesses should open late at night or not. Some of the perspectives of the different groups are listed below. Owners. Now if businesses should open late at night, owners will get more profits, need to be available more often to attend to problems. One thing. Customers. Now customers will have greater flexibility when they can buy things if businesses open late at night. Then employees. Employees can get more work, part-time, get more work, more jobs in general, and could interfere with family life. Yeah, it could interfere with their family life as well. Suppliers. Suppliers will get more sale if businesses open late at night. Government will get more taxation revenue from business and employees. That is also possible on part of government. Neighbors will have more vibrant local environment, increased traffic and noise that can be on the downside as well. So this is how you can generate some more ideas if you consider the stakeholders. Alright, by considering stakeholders and their perspective, their point of view, the number of ideas can often be increased substantially. In this case, the number of ideas has become quite high by considering stakeholders. Now, the next important thing to generate ideas for your essays, that is dimensions. In dimensions, there are 3 important things. Number 1, time. Number 2, place. Number 3, culture. I'm telling you how to generate ideas for your essay, so you can consider the dimensions of the topic, and when it comes to the dimensions of the topic, there can be time, place and culture. Students can also broaden their ideas by not just considering their own personal experience but also the wider world. They can do this by considering different times, places and cultures, because what is true in one time, place or culture may not be true in another one. Now there was an essay about teaching is becoming less popular job in many countries. So there was a generation ago, teaching was a well respected job. Now what was that? You took the dimension and you talked about the past thing, right? So that's what we call time. Anyways, consider time. Talent is important in modern society but was less important 500 years ago. Now see, this is actually time. It is likely to be even more important in the future. Knowing how to read wasn't important for most people 500 years ago, but it's extremely important in the current age, but maybe less important in future because of technology. Is that clear? So this is how you can consider time. Now, by considering different times, students can generate more ideas. If you think about past, present, future of the same thing, you can generate more ideas. Second thing is place. The arts should be funded in wealthy nations, but perhaps they should not be funded in poor nations. Poor people or poor countries, they have their own problems. They cannot fund arts. They need to fund health, the basic facilities for the people, education and all that. So you can consider place as well. It will give you some more ideas. The arts should be funded in wealthy nations, but perhaps they should not be funded in poor nations. Whether countries should have a one-child policy depends on whether there is stress on the population. Now, one-child policy is a very good idea for countries like China, and other countries where there is the big population, but for European countries where population is already low, so there one child policy is not going to be successful. So you can consider place as well. For example, countries should have one child policy depends on whether there is stress on the population. It may be necessary in highly populated countries such as China and India, but probably not in New Zealand. Next, place is also an important consideration. The one child policy is a very interesting question, asking why it is appropriate in one place but not another leads directly to the idea that the one child policy is undesirable but necessary in some circumstances. Clear? So you can consider place as well to generate more ideas. Next is culture. Now, for example, if we talk about miniskirts may come back into fashion in the future in countries such as Japan or United States, but is unlikely to ever be fashionable in Saudi Arabia or any other Islamic country, right? So you need to consider culture as well when you are brainstorming for ideas. What is true in one culture is not necessarily true in another. Failing to follow local culture can have serious consequences. Considering Ielts questions in different cultural contexts may also lead to different ideas, and you can generate ideas when you think about the topic in a different cultural context. Okay, these are the tips for band score 7, 8, 9. For 6 band, you don't need to learn these things, but for band score 7, 8, 9, you must keep all these things in mind. Anyways, consideration of different dimensions is helpful as students can demonstrate both broadness and show they can make fine distinctions rather than view the world as black and white. Okay, next we've got the logical chains. This is another important thing, and this is the last thing. When you are brainstorming for ideas, you can come up with some logical chains. What are the logical chains and how to do that? The body of a strong Ielts essay should be filled with ideas, explanations and consequences. 3 things. If you want to write an essay that gives you 7, 8, 9 bands, there must be ideas, explanations and consequences. As a result, what will happen? So ideas, explanations, consequences. Ideas should be developed and taken to their logical conclusion. If there is one idea, it should be taken into the logical conclusion. Sometimes the reason given for why something occurs is superficial and there may be deeper reasons. Even when a reason for an event is explained, it is often possible to ask why again and dig down. You need to dig down, right, to a deeper underlying reason. Consider the example. Now let's see, we've got one example. Why is having space program a good thing? Think about it. Why is having a space program a good thing? It makes people feel proud of their country. This can be one possible reason. Now, why does the space program make people feel proud of their country? Now we are digging down. This is what we call logical chain. Why does the space program make people feel proud of their country? The reason can be it shows technical skills. Now you need to dig again. Why do people care about technical skills or technical skill? It shows development of a nation. If they have technical skills, so that shows the development of a nation. Then again think, why is developing a nation important? Because it helps make the nation more politically and economically secure, and so on and on and on. So this is how you can dig and dig and dig, and you can find a logical chain of ideas. And remember, there must be ideas with explanations and consequences, and these consequences will come like that. So there are also deeper levels of why than this if required. In general, a high quality essay will contain logical chains. So there must be logical chains in your essay for bench score 7, 8, 9. In other words, sometimes something causes an effect and that causes another effect, that causes another effect, and so on. That's what we call logical change. Logical chain. The conclusion is unimportant. It is the quality of the logic behind those conclusions that is the key, as that ultimately determines that validity of the conclusions drawn. So conclusion is basically the outcome of those logical chains. Then you can draw a good conclusion as well. Thank you very much. This is how you can think about topic. This is how you can brainstorm about the topic, and this is what you need to brainstorm about. If you like this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe this channel Asad Yaqub and my other channel Asad Yaqub Vlogs. By the way, these are the techniques. If you act upon these techniques, then definitely you can get 7 bench score, 8 bench score, and even 9 bench score as well. So please follow all the videos of this series for writing an effective essay. Thank you very much. Asad Yaqub wishes you all the best, and I also teach Ielts online. If you want to join my online Ielts classes, you can contact me on my WhatsApp number, which is given, and I also offer Ielts writing correction service. If you want to subscribe Ielts writing correction service, you can send me a message and I'll send you details about that as well. Asad Yaqub wishes you a fantastic bench score in Ielts writing, especially in essay writing. Take good care of yourselves. Allah Hafiz.